One of the strangest things you discover, once you really begin looking at your own mind, is that life has this peculiar way of giving you what you want, but only after you stop clutching at it. It's very Zen, really. The old masters used to say, to hold the world, loosen your grip, which sounds absurd, like trying to pick up water with open hands. But the more tightly you squeeze, the more the river slips through your fingers. Most people spend their lives tightening their psychological fists, straining, forcing, grasping, hoping that sheer tension will bring them peace. But that tension only creates friction. It's like trying to make the wind blow by blowing harder yourself. Yet the moment you exhale, the moment you stop trying to make life bend to your will, something softens. The energy shifts. What you were chasing, love, success, clarity, begins to drift toward you in the most unexpected way. The Buddhists call this wu-wei, effortless action. It doesn't mean laziness. It means allowing instead of insisting. When you insist, you push life away. When you allow, life approaches you as naturally as breath entering the lungs. And the reason is simple. When you cling, you're saying, I don't trust life to hold me. But when you let go, genuinely let go, you affirm the ancient Zen truth. You already have everything you need to meet the moment. So, letting go is not passive. It's not resignation. It's the recognition that reality is a dance, not a tug of war. The more you loosen your stance, the more gracefully you can move with it. And in that quiet relaxation, life finally has the space to come toward you. You see, most of our suffering comes from a very subtle confusion. We trust fear more than we trust life. Fear feels familiar. It feels practical. It whispers, hold tighter, plan harder, don't you dare relax. And so we tense ourselves like a bow pulled to its breaking point, believing tension will somehow improve our aim. But Zen, our Zen, has an entirely different flavor. The masters would say, the tighter the string, the poorer the music. Fear is a tightening. Trust is the release that allows the melody of life to actually play. Now, trust does not mean that everything will go your way. That would simply be fear wearing a spiritual costume. Trust means you understand that life is wiser than your anxieties, that the universe moves with an intelligence far older than your plans. When you act from fear, your energy narrows, your vision contracts. You see only one path, the one you're gripping with white knuckles. But when you move with trust, your awareness widens like a lantern in a dark room. You start noticing paths you didn't even realize existed. It's not magic, it's clarity. Fear says, I must control everything. Trust says, I'll participate, but I will not cling. And somewhere between those two lines of thought lies the entire art of living. In Zen, they call this Shinjin Datsuraku, dropping off body and mind, which simply means let the heavy parts of you fall away so your naturalness can return. When you trust, your energy becomes open, fluid, receptive. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. Life feels it. Not because you're begging for something to happen, but because you're no longer blocking what was trying to happen all along. So, trust is not naive. It is not foolish. It is simply the courageous decision to let life be bigger than your fear. And in that decision, reality begins to respond in ways that fear never could. And one of the curious things about being human is that we're forever trying to make life behave. We push, we prod, we strategize, as if existence were some stubborn machine that only works when we shove it hard enough. But life is not a machine at all. It behaves much more like a river. You don't make a river flow by pushing the water. You move with it, or you're swept under. And this, you see, is the very heart of Zen. The masters would watch the streams moving through the mountains and say, "Notice how water wins by yielding. Water never forces its way through stone. It simply finds the opening. And in time, even the stone gives way." Now compare this to how we often live. We get anxious, we rush. We tighten our shoulders and believe intensity equals progress. But all that intensity does is create turbulence. Little whirlpools of frustration. Have you noticed that the best friendships, the most meaningful opportunities, arrive not when you're desperately searching, but when you're simply present? Not passive, present. Life reveals itself when you stop trying to drag the future into the room before it's ready. In Zen they speak of mushin, the mind without unnecessary motion. Not empty, not blank, but uncluttered. Like a still pond reflecting the sky. When your mind becomes like that, life mirrors clarity back to you. The right people drift in. The right experiences unfold with less noise and more natural rhythm. You're not forcing life to respond. You're allowing it to respond. And when you tune into this flow, you begin to see that the universe was never withholding anything from you. You were simply moving against the current, insisting the river should bend to your will. The moment you ease the resistance, just a little, life begins to show you the path it already prepared. That's not weakness, that's intelligence. That's wisdom. Because the river has always known where it was going. You were the one trying to paddle upstream. This reminds me of something. The irony of existence is that we spend our lives trying to control things that were never in our control to begin with. We draw maps, make plans, tighten our grip on the steering wheel, only to discover again and again that life has a far stranger choreography than anything we could choreograph ourselves. The mind hates this, of course. It wants certainty the way a child wants a nightlight. It says, "Tell me how it will unfold. Tell me now." But reality doesn't operate by deadlines or demands. It moves like weather, unpredictable, organic, and completely uninterested in your expectations. In Zen, they speak of the great doubt. Not doubt as in pessimism, but doubt as in surrendering the fantasy that you can intellectually pin down the universe. Because the universe isn't an equation. It's a mystery, alive, moving, breathing. And the more you insist on controlling it, the more it slips through your fingers. Have you ever noticed that when something unexpected happens, something that shatters your carefully drawn plans, you panic? You think, this is the worst thing that could have happened. Then, months later, you look back and realize, that was the turn I actually needed. Life has a habit of rearranging us in ways our minds would never approve of, yet always seem to benefit us in the long run. It's as if life sees your path from above, and you see it only from the ground. So you cling to the familiar, even when it blocks the very opening you've been hoping for. You cannot control the timing, or the shape, or the form of what comes your way. But you can control the way you respond. And that, ironically, is where true power lives. The Zen monks used to say, when you try to hold the wind, your hands stay empty. When you open them, the breeze passes through, yet you feel everything. Control is an illusion. Presence is real. Trust is real. Awareness is real. And once you stop wrestling life into neat little categories, once you stop insisting that things must unfold according to your script, you begin to notice a subtle intelligence guiding you. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a quiet sense that somehow, despite everything, you are being carried. And that feeling, that quiet surrender, is worth more than all the certainty in the world. It's a funny thing, but life often reveals its wisdom not when everything is going well, but precisely when everything seems to be falling apart. We assume collapse is a punishment, a sign that we've gone off course. But from the Zen point of view, collapse is sometimes the only way the old structure can make room for the new. The monks would say, when the cup is full, it must be emptied. Not because the tea was wrong, but because you're ready for something you don't yet have space to receive. So when something in your life breaks, a relationship, an opportunity, a plan, our first instinct is to panic. The ego screams, this shouldn't be happening, not now. But life is not concerned with the ego's timing. In fact, it often rearranges things precisely when we feel most unprepared. And here's the hidden teaching. What falls apart is very often what was quietly constricting you. It's just that you were too close to see it. You know those moments where you look back months later and think, if that hadn't collapsed, I'd still be stuck in that version of myself. Yes, that is the Zen insight. Zen is full of stories where students go to their master saying, everything is ruined. And the master smiles gently and replies, good, now you can see. Because when things come undone, the illusions loosen. The clinging loosens. The identity you'd been gripping loosens. And in that loosening, you begin to glimpse a freedom that was hidden behind the form you were trying so hard to preserve. The truth is, life answers your deeper needs, not your surface desires. And sometimes the deeper need is for a door to close, so you can finally notice the open one right behind you. Things fall apart, not to punish you, but to redirect you. Not to diminish you, but to unburden you. Not to take something from you, but to return you to your own path. And once you understand this, once you stop seeing collapse as a failure, you begin to trust the profound intelligence beneath every unraveling. You begin to realize that life is not breaking you, it is breaking you open. And there's something quite marvelous about a person who trusts life. Not blindly, not foolishly, but with that quiet inner confidence that says, I can move without gripping everything to death. People like this have a kind of atmosphere around them. Not flashy, not loud, more like a gentle field of calm that draws others in without effort. It's what the Zen monks used to call Fudo Shin, the immovable mind. Not rigid, but steady, like a mountain that doesn't need to announce itself. Trust gives you that quality. You see, when you're desperate for something to turn out a certain way, your energy becomes sharp, almost brittle. And other people feel that brittleness, even if you never say a word. But when you trust, your energy softens. You become approachable, warm, unguarded. Life feels safe around you, and so it approaches you more freely. It's a bit like trying to coax a small animal toward you. If you stand there trembling with neediness, the creature scurries away. But if you settle yourself, breathe, relax your posture, eventually it wanders right into your hands. Trust works the same way. It's not passive, it's receptive. The universe responds to the state of your being far more than the noise of your effort. When you trust, you emit a kind of silent permission for life to meet you halfway. Think of the great Zen masters. They walked through the world not with arrogance, but with a quiet certainty, a sense that nothing needed forcing. That certainty is magnetic, because it says, I am aligned with life, not fighting it. I am not chasing, I am allowing. I don't need the outcome to prove anything about who I am. When you carry this inner spaciousness, people feel safe in your presence. Opportunities gravitate toward you. Situations unfold more smoothly. Not because you manifested harder, but because you stopped interfering with the natural rhythm of things. And once you realize that trust creates more movement than fear ever could, you begin to understand one of life's most beautiful paradoxes. The softer your energy becomes, the stronger your reality responds. Not by force, by resonance. And reality has this subtle way of responding to you that most people never notice. Not through words, not through signs on the wall, but through the texture of your inner state. It's as if life says, Show me how you're being, and I'll show you what unfolds. There's a kind of silent contract you make with existence, not with ink, but with your energy. When you walk around doubting yourself, doubting life, seeing obstacles everywhere, life mirrors that doubt back to you. Situations jam, people pull away, paths twist into knots, not because you're cursed, but because your inner posture is one of resistance. In Zen they'd call this the mind that meets the world with a closed hand. And a closed hand can neither give nor receive. But when you trust, truly trust, your posture changes, your energy loosens, you become more open, more fluid, more aligned with the rhythm of things. And life responds to that openness with its own form of generosity. It's not personal, it's responsive. Imagine two musicians improvising together. One clings to the sheet music, terrified to make a mistake. The other listens, breathes, and flows with the moment. The second creates beauty not because they're better, but because they trust the unfolding. Life improvises with you in exactly that way. When you meet reality with tension, it stiffens. When you meet it with trust, it expands. This doesn't mean you'll get everything you want, but you begin to notice something far more interesting. Life gives you what you match, not what you beg for. If you radiate fear, life offers lessons. If you radiate trust, life offers openings. If you radiate clarity, life offers direction. It's a dance, a very quiet one, and you are always leading whether you realize it or not. And once you truly grasp that your inner state is the signal life tunes itself to, you step into a different kind of power. Not force, not manipulation, but the power of alignment, the power of participating with reality rather than wrestling it. And that changes everything. Not because you controlled life more tightly, but because you finally understood how to move with it. And one of the great misunderstandings of modern life is this obsession with speed. Everyone wants everything now. The answers, the success, the transformation, the clarity. But if you look closely at nature, nothing truly meaningful grows by rushing. A bamboo shoot spends years underground, doing absolutely nothing by appearance, and then suddenly rises several feet in a single season. But without the years of unseen preparation, the sudden growth would collapse under its own weight. Zen teaches this through the idea of enso, the circle drawn in one effortless stroke. People see the stroke, but they forget it takes years of patient stillness before the hand can move with that kind of freedom. You see, speed only matters if you're headed in the right direction. And life, in its strange wisdom, often slows you down, not to punish you, but to